Hi, Angela.
Hello, I was getting a little bit worried.
No, that's okay. I'm just going to start admitting people a sec.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Just waiting for a few more people to pop into this call, and then we can begin. Okay, I think that's most people now. I'm just going to mute everyone's microphones just to limit background noise, and I'll just keep Angela's and mine on a second. You should be able to unmute Angela.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for this Microsoft 365 Copilot webinar. This is Angela who'll be presenting today. She's an expert on Copilot and helping businesses improve efficiency through AI, and is just, all-round Copilot expert. The session will be recorded, so I'll share the recording with everyone afterwards, alongside a little survey as well, just to get your kind of thoughts and opinions on other topics that you'd like us to do. Yeah, like I said, everyone's mics should be muted, just to limit background noise, and hopefully there'll be some time for Q&As at the end. If we are short of time, if you pop any questions over to me, and I can share with Angela and our technical consultant, Carl, as well, and get back to you on that. So over to you, Angela.
Thanks, Danny. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. If somebody can give me a thumbs up, just to make sure you guys can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you very much. So yeah, as Danny mentioned, I'm Copilot specialist. So hopefully I'm going to give you a good idea of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is all about, how it's going to work within your organizations. As Danny mentioned, feel free to drop some questions in the chat. I'll try and answer them as I go along. Otherwise, I'll try and pick it up at the end, or follow up. So this is everything that I'm going to go through with you guys today. So overview, basically where AI is going, why organizations should be even thinking about adopting AI within as business purposes. Key capabilities are all around the demos that I'm going to give you. So that's probably the best part. So some demonstrations, plugins. If you are using any kind of like third party, like basically non-Microsoft applications like Adobe, SurveyMonkey, Monday, for example, does it plug in with Copilot? The ones that I've mentioned, yes, it does. And I'll also highlight the ones, other ones that does plug in with Copilot at no additional charge. The other two bullet points, actually, no, one bullet point, evaluate organization environment. This is all to do with making sure you as an organization are Copilot ready. And I'll break that down as to what does that even mean. So making sure that you guys are on the right licenses because you have been invited to this webinar. I believe that it will be a green tick, but also making sure your data is governed, etc. That sounds scary. Please don't leave the leave the meeting. But yes, we will be going through that, and I'll break it down for you. Adoption. The last thing that we want is to just give you a Copilot license and kind of wash our hands with you. Adopting AI is a behavioral change as well. So we don't want a Copilot just sitting on your desktop and you're not really sure what to do with it. So I'm going to give you a flavor of what is best practice when you start to adopt Copilot. All right, let's get started. So I'll start off with an overview with where technology is going. So you can see I've highlighted ChatGPT. Don't be alarmed, I am still going to be talking about Copilot. I just want to show you where technology is going. So it's taking less and less time to adopt. It took 16 years to reach 100 million users when mobile phones came out. And now all the way to ChatGPT, it only took actually 2.5 months, but Microsoft has rounded it up to 3 months to reach 100 million users. So it's taking less and less time. We want organizations to adopt Copilot more at its infancy. So Copilot has been established for over a year now. So we want you to adopt it when it's more at its infancy, so it's more easier to understand, rather than later down the line when other competitors, other organizations have adopted AI and you feel like you're kind of like lagging behind and you have to catch up when it's going to be a little bit more advanced later down the line. So this is just a view of where it's going. I'm happy to share my slides with you. Obviously, Danny mentioned this is recorded as well, so we'll share the recording with you. There is something called the Work Trend Index, and this is basically a yearly annual survey that's run by Microsoft to understand their take, like organizations' take on AI. So they surveyed a lot of people, a lot of organizations across 31 countries, so 31,000 people across 31 countries. And what did they find? They found that 75% of people are already using AI at work. And almost 50% of them have adopted it within the last 6 months. Now, I'm talking about any AI tool. I'm talking about ChatGPT. I'm talking about something plugged into your emails for grammar checks or Word documents. And the reason why we're here to talk about Copilot today is because anybody that is using something like ChatGPT might be posing risk to the business. And I will highlight the differences between something like ChatGPT and Copilot as I go along. But this is just an idea of most likely people are using AI at work, whether it is or is not approved by the organization. I'm also going to highlight user burnout. So during the survey, they also found that 68% of individuals said that they lack the amount of time and energy in work to meet their daily tasks. And those 68% of individuals are 2 times more likely to leave their jobs and 3.5 times more likely to struggle to be creative in their jobs. Maybe this employee is probably on the go, stuck on Teams meetings, following up, catching up on emails, and then trying to reply back to Teams chat messages, etc. And in order for them to really focus on their skill set, maybe they're working outside of working hours to get rid of that noise. And that's where Copilot is going to come in. Copilot is going to try and give time back to employees so they can focus on the reason why they've been hired. I'm sure they've got more of a skill set than just replying to an email here and there. So giving time back and giving employees a better working experience. So it will help with that user fatigue. I mean, it's a little bit early to see a pizza on the screen, or maybe it's not. I'm not going to judge. Now, during the survey, they also found that 77% of individuals would choose Copilot over a free lunch. As I said, Copilot has been established for over a year now. It was only available to very large organizations initially, so EA organizations, and the employees that did have Copilot earlier on, they were asked, would you rather keep your license, keep your Copilot license, or would you rather have like a £15 free lunch once a week for the rest of the year? And 77% of them were not willing to give back their Copilot license just for a free meal once a week. So it shows the value of that productivity tool and their willingness to keep it for them to stay more productive. I'm nearly there. And now, just before I get into Copilot, I do want you to focus on where do you see more improvements in the business, in your organization? Would it be to speed up processes, get rid of those repetitive tasks? Would it be to improve the quality of your work? Maybe some people work in HR, finance, etc., and to get rid of that human error. Or would it be giving time back to employees? So kind of being kind of similar to repetitive tasks, getting rid of those mundane tasks in order to retain employees as well. Now, once you establish where do you see improvements in the business, it's going to make a little bit more sense as to how does Copilot help to improve these areas. So food for thought, because I am going to jump into Copilot now, but food for thought as to where do you see it? There are a lot of Copilots that are available, okay? And I don't want to overwhelm you. The one that I'm going to focus on is Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that's the one that's really suitable for any information worker, anybody that uses a laptop or PC that uses Microsoft applications is going to benefit from Copilot, okay? So it is your AI assistance that is integrated within your Microsoft applications. So you don't have to go over the web. It's basically when you open up your Outlook, you'll have Copilot there. When you open up your Word, your PowerPoint, your Excel, your Teams, and so on, Copilot is right there within your applications, okay? In order to help you with your productivity and the quality of your work. I will go into the demos so it can give you a bit more of an idea as to what I mean. Now, don't be intimidated. I'm going to break this down. How does Copilot actually work? So if you focus on the top left-hand side, we open up an application. When we open up an application, let's say we open up our Microsoft Word. When you open up your Word, you have a ribbon of features like your font, your bullet points, etc. You also have a Copilot button. You click onto your Copilot button and you ask Copilot a question or a command. Let's say, draft me a business proposal based on Project X. That's classed as a prompt, okay? So I'm prompting Copilot. Now that prompt is then sent to the Microsoft Graph, which is on the bottom left-hand side. The Microsoft Graph is unique to each and every one of us. It's basically where all of your files and documents are stored. So anything that you have access to, so your SharePoint sites, your Word documents, your PDFs, your emails, Teams messages, Copilot also has access to. Let's say, for example, at the end of this webinar, you're very keen on Copilot, you want to roll it out to so many individuals. It's not a case of once Copilot is assigned to you, you can then access things that you never had access before. So you can then access contract references, you can then access financial data, etc. If you never had access to it before, you still won't have access to it. We're using Copilot because it respects your permission boundaries, okay? So whatever you have access to with your Office applications, that's what it respects. Right, so once it collects the data that it needs, it's then sent to the large language model, which is on the right-hand side. The large language model, as opposed to it just be like a keyword search when you ask Copilot a question and then it just pulls information that hopefully you're looking for, it works on something called semantic index. And what that means is it's going to add a bit more meaning behind what you're trying to achieve. So as opposed to just link words together, I mentioned I want information about Project X. It's going to start finding information. Maybe I've been working with a colleague on Project X. Maybe I've been working with similar documents using Project X, etc. And it will make more of an informed response based on that. And then it's sent back into your Word application. So it will say, this is what we found. It will give you an informed response. This is what we found, X, Y, and Z. But also, here are the original resources. So it citates exactly where it's got its information from, as opposed to it just give you a summary. So it's pretty much, if you had a personal assistant and you ask your personal assistant, get me information about Project X, they're not exactly going to dump 100 pages at your desk and walk away. They would say, this is what I found, and I've labeled everything in certain orders, etc. As opposed to you having to do the manual labor yourself and going through everything and just summarizing every single document yourself. So it's a helping hand, just like if you had a personal assistant. So they all work together. The apps, the graph, and the large language model. I did mention ChatGPT. anybody that's using ChatGPT within an organization, anything that they input into ChatGPT is saved into public data. So you're pretty much training the model every time you speak to it, you prompt it, you feed information into it. Whereas Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can do that. You can prompt Copilot with client information, with financial information, with sensitive information that you would be quite scared to leak outside of the organization, and it's not training the model. Your prompts, your data that it accesses are not training the AI model, Microsoft 365 Copilot. It stays with you. So basically, Microsoft 365 Copilot is corporately protected. It stays within your tenant, whereas ChatGPT is not. That's really the main difference why people should be moving away from something like a free consumer solution like ChatGPT and move to something more secure like 365 Copilot. There are two versions. There is Microsoft 365 Copilot, and there is also Copilot Chat. Microsoft 365 Copilot is what I'm going through today. Copilot Chat is included within Microsoft 365 Copilot, but there is also like a baby version, which is basically a free version. So you'll get Copilot Chat, but Copilot Chat will not be able to go through your Microsoft Graph. So it doesn't go into your internal information, so it can't retrieve information. It's just it, but however, every time you speak to Copilot Chat, the free version, is corporately protected, so it's not trained on your prompts. So you can, if you're looking to roll out Copilot to only a certain amount of people within the organization, and you're scared, well, what about the other people? They're probably going to still use free, they're probably still going to use ChatGPT. Get them on the free Copilot Chat, so at least they're still getting information from the web. They're still asking questions, but it's protecting the information that they're asking Copilot Chat, so it's corporately protected. It's just you'll only be able to toggle on web browsing, and it won't look into your Microsoft Graph. Okay, so that's really the main difference between the free version and the paid version. But we can send you like a comparison table after this webinar as well. Right. Hopefully I haven't confused you as to how Copilot actually works, because I'm going to go through the demos now. Now, the demos I've done are all pre-recorded in real time. I don't want to expose anything in my business. I've pre-recorded everything. And I'm going to give you an idea of what it can do within certain applications. So it can do so much more, by the way. It's just I won't have... It will take a lot longer than an hour to get through everything. So I'll start off with Outlook. Before I play the video, I'm just going to tell you what I've recorded. So Alex and Megan have both been discussing opening up a new store in London. So they've been talking about tasks, ownerships, budgets, etc. And we've all been there when we've been looped in. We've been CC'd in a chain of emails, and it's the best part of our day, especially on a Friday, to scroll through 25 emails. Now with Copilot, you no longer have to do that. So I'm going to play the video, and you can click on Summary by Copilot. And immediately it summarizes that chain of emails for you. So you can either move on to the next email because you understand what that chain is about and you don't have to reply, or you can reply a lot more quickly. In this case, and it doesn't just work on chain of emails, it can work on marketing emails, for example. You can work on maybe just a lengthy email that you just want to get a quick summary of so you can move on to the next one. It works on all emails. Now Megan's going to reply back. There are two options. There is draft with Copilot and there is coaching with Copilot. I'll show you both of the options. Now, Megan is going to ask Copilot, can you draft me an email? Can you draft me an email to accept my tasks in the inventory? Bear in mind, she's not even mentioning what the tasks are. Because Megan has clicked reply, Copilot is going to understand there is emails that are linked when she clicked reply. So Copilot is going to pick up that context of emails. You can change the tone of it if you want to formal, neutral, change the length of it to long, short, medium. I'm always baffled as to why you'd want to choose to have a long email, but that is an option, each to their own. Now we are going to generate the email and I'll show you what it comes up with. There we go. We got a generated email. It's even bullet pointed the tasks in the inventory. So Megan did not have to do that. Alex is fully aware what he does not need to do. Keep it, discard it. You can regenerate it if you're not happy with it, or you can just tweak it with an additional prompt. I'm tweaking it quite a lot because if you just catch what I wrote, make it into a poem. Now I've never sent a poem my entire life on email. However, on this demo I have, just to show you how quickly Copilot can come back with based on a prompt that you've asked it. Now, I'm going to delete that because I want to show you, well, what if you want to write your own email? What if you feel like that's a lot more quick to do? So let's say we're writing our own email. I'm going to show you coaching. Coaching looks at how are you going to respond back to that recipient. Maybe you're having a bad day. Maybe it's coming across on your emails. Copilot will pick up on your tone. So it says, I could be more formal because I'm saying, hey, Alex. In the gray boxes, it will always give you suggestions how to like change things up. So it will always help you improve your writing style. It says, I'm coming across enthusiastic, but under clarity, it says, try adding more details because I'm a little bit vague in my email. I mean, fair enough, it is one-liner. So I'm going to take that feedback. I do like to share my personal experience when using Copilot because I've had Copilot for about a year now. And when I first started using coaching, Copilot picked up that I used to write my emails just like how I'm speaking to somebody out loud. So basically, Copilot said that I need to be more assertive with my emails because I say perhaps and maybe a lot on my emails. Perhaps this workshop is more suitable. Maybe we can work on this. We can book in this day. And Copilot basically helped me be a little bit more direct, but still stay friendly on my emails. And not only I don't get that feedback anymore from Copilot, but also I don't know if this is linked, but I'm going to take it as a link. I do get my responses back a little bit more quickly. So I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit more direct. I'm not sure, but I feel like that's a win because I get responses more quickly. So that's my personal take on it. Outlook can do so much more as well. Let's say, for example, you have a couple of people within the organization you need to book in a Teams call with, a Teams meeting with. You obviously have to check their calendars to check who's available at the same time so we could book in a meeting. Now, there will be a Copilot button at the very top where the video has paused at the very top, and you can click onto it and it opens up a side panel and you can ask Copilot, I want to book in a Teams meeting with Emma, Tony, Dan, and Tom. When is our next availability for a 30-minute discussion? And then it will find it within those calendars and it will say, this is the next availability. You are all free. Do you want to book it in? Yes. Or you can edit the Teams meeting invite and then send it yourself. So it just cuts out that legwork for you rather than having to find that availability yourself. That's just one aspect, but obviously I can't go through everything. I think that's quite a common thing that everybody goes through. I'm going to move on to Word now. So Alex has just come back from holiday and he's been working on a marketing plan and he hasn't finished it. He's not summarized it. So he needs to send it to his colleagues as soon as possible. And this is pretty much, if I had to give this marketing plan to my colleague to summarize, because I had some meetings to attend, they would have to go through this entire document. It's about 2,000 to 3,000 words long. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to use Copilot. So I'm going to click onto, there's two different ways to speak to Copilot through Word. So within the document, there will be a Copilot button right there. So I click onto that Copilot button. Now I'm going to click on to Inspire Me. Inspire Me is if you have got like a writer's blocker, you're not really sure what else to write within your document and you need some inspiration, get Copilot to give that to you. So Copilot is going to start to look into your document. It's not going to make anything up. It's going to give you some inspiration. So it's basically starting to highlight the metrics of an impact of this particular campaign. I mean, it's a bit chunky. So I'm going to click on regenerate just to show you what else it can come up with. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but Copilot is going to keep indexing how you work, what is your writing style, who do you collaborate with, who do you respond to more quickly than others. Now, the reason I say that is because it's giving me a different response. If I chose to keep this response, Copilot is going to learn that's your preference. And the next time is going to be a first response if you had a similar document. So it's going to be more personalized to you. It does take a couple of weeks for it to be more personalized to you. But yeah, it's going to be more unique to each individual. Now I'm going to keep that because it started, I'm just going to pause it there for a second because I was talking over it. So it highlighted the metrics again. It talked about how are they going to collect feedback from their end clients, and also what if the campaign was unsuccessful? What is their backup mechanism? So that seemed like more of a concise summary. So I kept it just for the purpose of the demo, just to move on. But you can chop and change as you wish. Now I've opened up the main Copilot button at the top, and it opened up a side panel. I'm writing my own prompt, which is who is the target market for this campaign? Now, it doesn't have to be a marketing plan. This could be a tender. This could be a business proposal. This could be any lengthy document writing. And it's really good to sense check your work rather than go through the entire document again. Get Copilot to sense check it for you. So Copilot has come back to say the target market is for startup, large organizations, etc. And it cites exactly where it's got its information from to make sure the right kind of language is being pulled across, etc. So sense check your work. Now I've clicked on a suggested prompt, which has summarized this document. Now, Alex might have a checklist of everything he needs to go through within this document. Maybe he's missed something out. Now, he can easily compare the checklist to the bullet pointed topic areas to see if he's missed anything out rather than spend 45 minutes going through the entire document again. So get on top of your work a lot more quickly. And then lastly, I've told you that he needs to send it to his colleagues. Now, I'm sure the last thing that you do is just attach a document and send it. I'm sure you have to say, dear recipient, please see attached. This is what it includes. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to ask Copilot to transform this document into an email. So it's going to provide me an email template. Your prompt, I'm going to say prompt a lot in this webinar. Your prompt could be better than mine. You could say, transform into an email for Emma and Tony. Please summarize this document only in 5 bullet points. And please ensure that we will be following up in 2 weeks' time to review again. That would be included within this email template. So the better your prompt, the more specific your prompt is, that's how your response from Copilot will come back with. So you'll be more satisfied. So there we go. We got our email template. You can have a look at it, tweak it if you like, and then copy and paste that into your Outlook so it's ready to send to your colleagues. So hopefully that gives you an idea of productivity, sense checking, and yeah, getting rid of those mundane tasks that you don't really want to be stuck in. PowerPoint, I would say this is useful for 2 different types of users. Somebody like myself that uses PowerPoint a lot, and somebody that doesn't, that maybe might shy away from it because they might feel like it's time consuming or they're not creative enough, whatever the reason. I'll show you why I think it's suitable for 2 different users. So I'm going to open up the Copilot button within PowerPoint, and I'm going to click on a suggested prompt, which is create presentation from file. And then what file is it? So I'm going to paste the file path of that marketing plan that you've just seen. So we're transforming a Word document into a PowerPoint slide. Now, you don't always have to paste the file path, by the way. You could just do / and it would show you all of your recently saved Word documents or PDFs. It only transforms Word documents and PDFs at the moment into PowerPoint slides, so bear that in mind. So yeah, Copilot is going to start to structure how it's going to create the PowerPoint slides. So there is a new feature, by the way, where if you weren't happy with the flow of the PowerPoint slides, before it's even created, you'll be able to chop and change, move things around, move the bullet points around, even add additional content before the PowerPoint slide is generated, so you have more of a co-editing say. It's even going to add speaker notes as well. So every slide will have speaker notes. That's all relevant based on that one Word document. So it's ready to go if you're delivering it over Teams. Now let it generate because I'm speaking a little bit too fast. So give it a second and it will generate the slides. There we go. We got our slides. A common question that I get is, does it work with company template, branded templates? Yes, it does. What you'll have to do is open up your company branded templates and get rid of all of the pre-built templates, and then ask Copilot to generate you slides, and it will use your color schemes and your branding, etc. Otherwise, if you don't have any, then you can use Designer just to change the feel of certain backgrounds. In this case, I've changed it into a moving background, so it's a little bit more engaging as it is all around marketing. Now I've opened up Copilot again and I've clicked on organize this presentation. That was a suggested prompt. Organize this presentation essentially means it's going to group certain slides together that are similar, and then it's going to add dividers in between, like cover slides, so it comes across a bit more professional when you're changing topic, etc. And in a second, it's going to add the dividers, and on the right hand side, it's going to tell you where it's made its edits, what it's labeled the grouped slides as. So if you're happy with it, you can keep it. If you're not, then you can jump into the slides and edit it as you wish. Now I'm scrolling all the way down, and I'm going to ask Copilot, can you create me one more slide just to say thank you to the audience, thank you to the V team for their support, etc. And once this last slide is generated, we're going to have 25 slides, okay? And this demo video that I've recorded is 4 minutes long. So we're going to have 25 slides in 4 minutes. That is professional looking, that's got speaker notes, so it's ready to go, and it's all relevant content from that one Word document that we were working on previously. You can, just looking at this demo, you can see how you can save time, because anybody that uses PowerPoint knows it does not take 4 minutes to create a full slide deck. It takes a little bit longer than that. For me, it used to take me hours, if not days, because I'm doing things in between as well. Whereas now I use Copilot for PowerPoint as like a first draft. I give it the idea that I want, and it gives me I don't like starting from scratch. The Copilot has been a lifesaver. And then I just go ahead and do my little tweaks, and I'm ready to go. So I spend less time on creating, and I spend more time on presenting it to people like yourself. So that's PowerPoint. Teams. So I'm sure everybody uses Teams. So Copilot works on transcription. As long as you turn transcription on, your Copilot is on as well. It doesn't say to the other person, Copilot is on, it just says transcription is on to the other person. Now, in this case, I've got both of it on. I've got recording and transcription, but recording is not mandatory. If you want it on, you can have it on. So I've clicked on Copilot, and it gives you suggested prompts. Every application will give you suggested prompts that's relevant to that specific application. But I'm going to write my own prompt. I'm going to ask Copilot what decisions were made during this meeting, which is kind of one of the key things that you want to gain out of that meeting. Better than catching up with a colleague, watching an hour-long recording. Everybody says, can we turn recording on? But do they actually watch the full recording? And maybe one thing is only relevant. So just get to the point of Copilot. What decisions were made during this meeting? And Copilot comes back saying they decided to delay their launch date for this project. Again, you can hover over and it will citate who said what, word for word, so you can jump back into the transcription or the recording. Now I'm going to ask Copilot, did they reach a group consensus? Did they all agree to delay this launch date? Now, I'm showing you this demo when a meeting has ended, but if you're on a Teams meeting, a live Teams meeting, you can communicate with Copilot live during the Teams meeting as well. I'll get into that. Now, Copilot has come back to say they decided to delay their launch date by 2 weeks. Okay, that's good. That's what I wanted to know. Now I want to know, what are the pros and cons for delaying the launch date? It's quite an important decision to make, but I'm specifically saying put it into a table. If I did not say that in my prompt, it might give it to me in a paragraph or a couple of bullet points. I specifically said I want the pros and cons in a table. And there we go. We got a table out of it. And 9 times out of 10, we have follow-ups. Now, I want to know what those follow-ups are. So I'm going to ask Copilot, can you provide me those action items and put it into a table again as well? So this is so good. If you are on a group Teams meeting, you turn transcription on, and you can share those action items with the rest of the team. So nobody really has an excuse to forget after a Teams meeting with Copilot. And again, you can say put it into a table. So it says action items on the left, and who needs to do what is on the right as well. So it's task management. So yeah, Teams is a game changer when it comes to minute taking, when it comes to missing meetings as well. If you can't attend a meeting for whatever reason, maybe it clashes with something else, maybe you're on annual leave, maybe you're on the go, you will have an option called follow. So there'll be accept, decline, follow. Click onto follow. And what that means is Copilot is going to attend for you. So what that means is it will say, Angela cannot attend this meeting. Can you turn transcription on? So whoever has attended that meeting will turn transcription on your behalf. And Copilot will do the note taking. Only you'll be able to see that. Nobody will be able to see your Copilot note taking. And all those notes, all that summary will be added into your Outlook. So when you want to catch up, you just go back into your Outlook calendar, the follow invite that you wanted to follow, and then your recap, your summary will be on there as well. And if you wanted to get more information, then just ask Copilot, can you elaborate on whatever mentioned, etc. So you don't just get a static summary, you can have a further conversation with Copilot if you wanted to dissect a little bit more. So you never have to miss a meeting again. Now, I did touch on the fact that you can have Copilot live during the meeting. So, say for example, you jumped on a Teams meeting 10 minutes late and transcription was already on. You can open up your Copilot and you can ask Copilot, catch me up since I've been away, since I've joined, and it says, or has my name been mentioned since I've joined, and it will say yes or no, and only you'll be able to see those conversations. So live during the meeting, you can ask Copilot questions, and you can say, what was the last thing John said? And rather than probe a colleague saying, what did John say? Or wait until the recording at the end and then you have to jump it saying, what did John say? Just ask Copilot live during the meeting. What was the last thing John mentioned if you didn't catch what they said? So you don't have to note take anymore because Copilot will be note taking for you, so you can stay fully engaged with that conversation and you can get a helping hand live during a meeting as well. So that's Teams. Harry, you got a question? No? Okay, no problem. So Loop.
So
anybody?
sorry, Andrew. No, sorry, I was chatting on mute.
Okay.
Sorry.
No
Yeah.
worries.
Quick question. So similar to how Word integrated into PowerPoint, if, for example, you needed to summarize a meeting, so it needs to go into a PowerPoint deck or like for a decision to be made, can you take the summary from the Teams meeting and then get it to generate PowerPoint slides for you?
Yes, but as I mentioned, Copilot within PowerPoint only works on prompts, so the words that you write within your prompt box, or attaching a Word document or PDF. So if you just want to attach your transcription, it will have to be in a PDF form, and then attach your transcription saying, this is everything that we've mentioned. Please create me 5 slides based on what you've discussed. So yes,
Cool.
it can do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem. Right. So Loop, I would guarantee probably 90% of people that's on call right now don't know what Loop is. Now, it should be within your license. Loop is all around project planning. So it's if you're brainstorming with a group of people, for example, talking about a certain project, certain task, there's pre-built templates, as you can see at the bottom of this paused video, so you don't have to start from scratch. And Copilot is integrated within this application as well. So I'll give you an example of what I'm going to do within Loop. So I've got a sweet tooth. So I've created a charity cake sale demo. So I'm going to ask Copilot to create me a Teams channel announcement to let everyone know in the organization that we're running another charity cake sale. Keep it short, keep it sweet. It's going to be on a certain date, and there we go. So we got our Teams channel announcement. It's added some nice emojis. Now, let's say, for example, 3 of you were sharing this page and you all had Copilot. If you were editing the post using Copilot, you will be able to see each other's prompts because you'll be able to see what prompts was used to edit the post. Otherwise, your prompts stay with you if you're not co-editing a page together. Right. So I just said add some funny cake jokes just to make it a bit more humorous, but it has kept it quite short. Now, I don't want to repeat from last year. Last year, maybe 10 people created the same chocolate cakes and it didn't sell out. Now I'm going to go to Copilot and I'm going to ask Copilot, create me a table. And I want people to start to populate what they're going to bring in. So they don't repeat the same sweet treats. And I want to show you that, yes, my demos previously gave you a response I wanted you to see. However, Copilot might not always get it right the first time. And I don't want you to be disheartened. And I don't want you to be like, I'm never using it within this application again because it didn't give me what I wanted. Don't blame it purely on Copilot. You might just have to redirect your prompt, redirect Copilot a little bit. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. So it's creating me a table. However, it's added people's names on there that I never wanted in the first place. Now I'm going to go back to Copilot. Bear in mind, I'm not deleting it. I'm not starting again. I'm just going back to Copilot saying, I did not want this table pre-populated, but also, can you add some clear instructions how to populate the table? Yes, it seems quite self-explanatory, but if somebody said they're making a carrot cake and they didn't say nuts was included in special ingredients, somebody had a nut allergy. You can see where I'm going with this. So I need instructions. So there we go. Copilot has cleared the table for me and has added instructions at the bottom. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, there's something called a loop component. If you didn't want the entire page shared with somebody, you can select an area of that page, and that's called a loop component. So you can copy your loop component and you can paste it into another area or several locations, maybe an email, maybe a group Teams chat, a Teams channel, a Word document. You paste it in all of those areas. Maybe people prefer to reply back on in those locations. And then people can start to populate their answers in those locations, and it would in real time synchronize back into your loop page. So you can just leave it alone. Obviously, my demo was all around a cake sale, but you could say if you need to follow up to chase where a project is at the moment and where everybody is within their task assignments, you could say you can paste a certain table saying where are you with this and paste it in a group, and then they can fill out their answers and it will synchronize back into your loop. So give it a go. If you think it's relevant within your job role, start using Loop, and obviously Copilot will help speed things up as well, creating things for you. Right. So I'm going to go into Excel. I'm not going to lie, I should have put this at the beginning because I'm not an Excel user. I'm actually quite a basic Excel user. However, this is also a game changer for anybody that shies away from Excel, like myself, or somebody that uses Excel on a daily basis, and they might feel like, I don't feel like AI is going to help me because I know what I'm doing with an Excel. I don't need that. I don't need that AI help. Yes, you might know what you're doing, you might know how to do formulas, but it will just speed things up. You can get Copilot to do those formulas for you so you can do that analysis a lot more quickly. So I'll play the video. I think it's voiced over with my voice, so you still have to hear my voice, unfortunately. So I'm going to play the video. As you can see, I've got an Excel spreadsheet, actually a table right here, all around bakery goods that we've sold between November 24 and December 24, how much we've sold it for, the revenue against them, the profit we've made, etc. As you can see, we've got quite a few bakery goods right here. Obviously, you might have a larger spreadsheet than my demo itself. Copilot works on tables, so if your format is not created into a table, then you can easily do that, and then Copilot will then be able to digest, understand, and provide you insights against those tables. So let's get started with how Copilot will be able to support with these bakery goods of revenue. Now, once I open up Copilot, it gives you some suggestions right here. I'm actually going to click on a suggested prompt, which is create formulas. In this case, Copilot is going to provide us a suggested column that we can actually include within our table itself. And in this case, it's providing us revenue growth between November and December 24. It even gives you the formula it's using. So if you did want to learn along the job, then you can do so, or you can just use it itself. So you can hover over insert column and immediately you can insert the column itself. Now that's provided me a little bit of inspiration. So I'm actually going to ask Copilot, can you add a column of revenue growth in November 24 and December 24, but in pounds, so we can see exactly how much it's grown or decreased between both months. And there we go, we've got it in pounds here, so I'm actually happy with that. So we're going to insert column. Now, if you don't use Excel much, you might not know what conditional formatting is, but you don't really need to. It's just about color coordinating some cells so the figures pop out of the table a little bit more easily. So we're going to ask Copilot to provide us some color coding all around profit that's been less, that shows less than £1,000. Again, it provides you the formula it's using. I wanted it in red. As you can see in my prompt, I've said highlight it in red, and I'm just going to click on to apply, and it will start to highlight the bakery goods that shows profit in December of less than £1,000, and that's exactly what I wanted. We're going to use the exact same prompt. However, we want to highlight the profits of over £3,500. So we can see which profit and bakery goods are doing the best. And there we go. It highlights those bakery goods that are doing incredibly well at the moment. Now, I want to get some more insights against the profit percentage. So I'm going to ask Copilot to provide us some icons against them to see which profit is over 40% and which bakery goods have profit percentages of under 40%. And it's providing us the icons. I'm going to click apply. And there we go. Immediately it starts to highlight which profits are under 30, which ones are over 40%, which ones are in the middle. So it's a little bit easier to understand. Now, going back to revenue growth that we've asked Copilot to create for us for this column, I don't want more conditional formatting because it might actually start to confuse Copilot because there's a few color coordinations already happening within this column. However, I do want Copilot to start to highlight which ones are reducing in revenue growth between November and December. So I'm going to ask Copilot to create us another column so it can start to say red, amber, green, of which ones are over £1,000, which ones are under £0, etc. I'm going to insert column right here and immediately it says which ones. However, it's not really popping off the page in order for us to understand it a little bit better, especially if you wanted to send this to a colleague. So I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to ask Copilot just to fill those cells in with the colours. Again, red, amber, green. Click apply. And there we go. It colours those cells for us. So immediately you can start to see which ones are falling below 0, so are in the minus figures, which ones are doing well, etc. And lastly, I want to ask Copilot, show some data insights. Especially if you're doing any kind of presentations, you might want to copy and paste these onto your PowerPoint slides. So in this case, it's showing us red, amber, green against the first column that we've created and some insights against them. You could add it into a new sheet, or it gives you a little bit of a blurb of what's going on, or we can click on add all insights to grid. It will create another sheet for us, and then it will show you more visual representations of what's going on within your table, so you can start to pick and choose, whether you wanted a pie chart, scatter graphs up, etc. And there's even pivot tables as well if you just wanted to focus on specific bakery goods and how well they're doing. So it provides pivot tables. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how Copilot can support you to understand and digest data a little bit more easily, so then you can present that to the rest of your team. Hopefully you found that interesting. As I said, the demo was more to do with like basic moderate users, but it can go to deeper analysis, people that use like Python formulas, etc., which is way beyond my capabilities. But just bear that in mind, it can do that. So that's the end of the demos. I'm just going to go through like the plugins now. So anything that you can see on screen can integrate within Copilot at no additional cost. So if you are using things that I've mentioned, like Adobe, for example, it does plug in with Copilot. If you can't see it on screen right now, then just let Danny and the team know, does it work within this application? And we can find out for you. Basically, it's up to these third-party vendors to create a connector to connect with Copilot. So yeah, it is expanding. Right, the cherry on top, I don't want to lose you here, but it is Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is included within your license, and it's a way for you to create your own Copilot bot. So it's your own chatbot basically. And I'll give you an example. Okay. So say, for example, a HR department are not necessarily looking at PowerPoint slides all the time. They might be referring to contract references on a CSV file, maybe a policy booklet that's like 100 pages long, and private SharePoint site that dedicated to HR. You can get Copilot Studio and direct it to only those resources that I've mentioned. So when you're speaking to Copilot Studio, and you can name it whatever you want, you could name it HR Assistant, for example. So you can speak to HR Assistant and ask HR Assistant, give me information about Project X. It's only going to those resources. So it kind of gets rid of the noise. It kind of gets rid of like everything else that's plugged in that you have access to, like emails, you might have mentioned Project X, etc. So it's more job role specific. A good example is if anybody does any like hiring internally and they have to go through like CVs quite regularly when they're hiring people, like you can plug in all those CVs to your own agent, call it like CV helper, for example, and just say, this is my new job opening. What CVs is most suitable to this job description, and rank it out of a score of 15 based on skill set, location, etc. And then it will start to pull the most relevant CVs. So it kind of gets rid of that manual labor yourself. That's just a flavor of what Copilot Studio can do. I won't be able to go through the whole thing today, but that is included within the license. I did mention anything that you have access to, Copilot has access to. So it's really important making sure as an organization, your permissions are set down to a T, and System Magic will obviously do the prerequisites beforehand, making sure not everybody has access to financial data, because the last thing that we want is for somebody to say, what is my manager's salary, for example, and then it just pulls their data because they already had access to it. They just didn't know where it was located. So just making sure permissions are set properly before Copilot is integrated within your ecosystem. Let's say, for example, you have 100 SharePoint sites and it's constantly growing. Everybody is creating more. Maybe you've got a lot of legacy information saved in an area. You can tell the System Magic that you only want Copilot to access 10 SharePoint sites and not the others. And then Copilot will only be able to access those. So it's basically whitelisting certain sites that you're happy with. It still respects your permission level. So you still, if you had access to everything, you still have access to everything. It's just when you're speaking to Copilot, it will only have access to certain sites. Okay. Now I'm going to go into the adoption piece. So let's say you're on board and you want Copilot. How do I get started? Once I get the license, open up that prompt library. So you know the suggested prompts that you've seen in my demos, you can open up more within those applications, and you can say, I'm using Word. I want to understand something. I work in HR. So you can go into department level. And then it will tell you suggested prompts that has been successful in the past and that's been added into this library, so you can get inspiration from it as well. You can save your prompts. Obviously, your prompts can start to get quite lengthy, so you can save them, but rather than save them in another location, you can save them within the prompt library and only you have access to it. So you can open up your prompt library, click onto that prompt, and then it populates itself into your prompt box. So it's just a lot more seamless. And also, going back to school now, GCSE. Now, if you want to create something from scratch, if you want to create a PowerPoint slide deck, if you want to create like a summary of the meeting in a specific way, then you can get Copilot to do that for you in a specific way. So goal, context, source, and expectation needs to be included within your prompt. So what I mean by that, goal, tell Copilot what you want. I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context. Don't be shy to tell Copilot a bit of a story of what you're trying to gain. So I'm trying to prepare for a meeting with client X to discuss their phase 3 brand campaign. Source, tell Copilot where to look. Focus on emails and Teams chats since June. And then expectation is, yes, you're going to get 3 to 5 bullet points, but who is it for? Is it for yourself? Is it for a target audience of under 25s, etc.? Please use simple language so I can get up to speed quickly. We found if you use the GCSE framework when you're prompting Copilot, you're more likely to get what you want, as opposed to be very basic and keep going back and forth, saying this is not what I want. So start off with GCSE. Have a look at Copilot Scenario Library. It is online, so it's available over the web, and it basically helps you to have a look at a day in a life as an IT administrator, as a finance analyst, as a marketing manager. So different role specifics, and how does Copilot work within those roles? So it will tell you what applications they're using, how is it going to support their KPIs, etc. So you can get some inspiration from Copilot Scenario Library. They're all hyperlinked, and obviously we're going to share these slides with you, so don't have to absorb everything today. And also, up until the end of March, there is 15% off Copilot licenses, as long as you purchase at least 10. If you purchase at least 10 by the end of March, then you'll get 15% off, but you'll have that 15% discount locked in for 12 months. So say, for example, you had 10 and then you wanted to give another 10 to other employees 6 months down the line, you'll still be eligible for 15% off because you've locked in that price discount. Lastly is if you do want a Copilot readiness assessment done through System Magic, then they can go through that with you, and they can basically assess if you're Copilot ready or not, making sure you're on the right licensing, making sure that your permissions are set, your security is intact, nothing sensitive is being externally shared by individuals, etc. So they'll be able to do an assessment for you. So reach out to them if you are looking for assessment. So we've got a few minutes spare. I don't think there's any. If you have got any questions, pop it into the chat box or take yourself off mute if you can. And yeah, ask me some questions. If there's no other questions, or you can just put your hand up whilst I'm speaking, just in case you do have a question. I might as well just start to share some tips with you. So when I was talking about Teams meetings, if you are not booking in that Teams meeting or somebody within your organization, so say then Copilot won't work, basically. So say, for example, somebody externally sent you a Teams invite, you can't turn transcription on in order for Copilot to work on your side. It won't work. I guess the only workaround would be asking the external person to turn on transcription for you and for them to send that transcription to you, and then you can get Copilot to, dissect that for you. But yeah, otherwise it would have to be your own Teams meeting invite or somebody within the organization that has booked it for Copilot to work. We have got a question on the chat. In order to integrate with zero account software, would that need to be a customized connection? I think I've had this question in the past. I believe it possibly can with an API connector. It might not be on that screen that I just shared with you, but I'm pretty sure I have had that query in the past. So I'll drop that response back to Danny so he can give you that response. But I'm pretty sure, but I'll confirm with you. How does licensing work, please? Is it an additional cost? We are a tiny charity, so sadly very... Okay, so Microsoft 365 Copilot is an add-on license. So whatever license you're on at the moment, you have to add on Copilot to it. It's not integrated within your license already. If you are a charity, if you use charity licensing, then you will be eligible for a discounted price. I think it's just 15% off. But yes, it would be add-on with that additional promotion. Any other questions? Is there an option to try demo for a month? So no, there's no trials. The reason behind that is because, as I mentioned about indexing, so when Copilot is assigned to you, say today, and you ask Copilot, prioritize my emails, it's not going to do the best job from day one because it doesn't really understand how you respond to recipients before them. It's going to start to index from day one it's assigned to you, and that needs to take time. Who do you speak to? How do you respond to people? How quickly do you respond to people? And that can take 10 to 12 weeks for it to really be more customized to you as a user. So a trial license, you would probably be a little bit underwhelmed initially, and yeah, so that's what Microsoft is coming back with in terms of why they're not doing trial licenses. So yeah, the only thing that's available is the paid license, but at a discounted rate if you purchase at least 10. It is available annual upfront or annual monthly. Chris, you've got a question?
Yeah, hi there. Thanks for the presentation. Really useful. Just in terms of, could you use it for face-to-face meetings to provide a transcript? Does it differentiate the voices on the mics and put that into a transcript?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually, which I should have covered because I get that question all the time. So there are two options for you, Chris. So if you have face-to-face meetings, everybody has face-to-face meetings now. It's more hybrid as opposed to just remote. So you could either book in your meeting and turn on transcription, so Copilot is running in the background and everybody's discussing face to face, so Copilot is transcripting. However, it would look like, Chris, you're the only one in the meeting. It looks like you're the only one that's had a conversation for the past hour, even though you haven't. This is what we do in our business. So the workaround would be keep it running, but mention people's names. So say, Emma, you'd have to follow up with this, and Tony, this is what you're going to have to be doing. So Copilot is going to understand that there's other people in the room. It will still look like you're the only one that's talking, but under like action items, so what you will need to follow up on, Copilot summary will mention other people's names as well, because you've mentioned other people's names or anybody within the in-person meeting. That's a workaround. Otherwise, if you want to actually pick up on people's voices face to face, you'll have to have like dedicated devices where you profile your voices, and then it would understand everybody that's talking are different people within the room, and then Copilot would obviously sync with that as well. So that's a separate device. It's not a Microsoft device, so we can provide you what devices are suitable for that. There is something in Pruvia at the moment, but I can't disclose anything just yet, just because I'm not sure where it's going to sit, what license, etc. But potentially in the future, it might be included within our teams.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. It is 11 o'clock, so Danny, we might have to wrap up.
Yes, no, thank you very, very much for presenting that. I hope everyone found some really useful bits in there. I know I certainly learned a few more bits than I'd already known about Copilot. Yeah, like I said, so I've recorded the session, so I'll circulate this with everyone and the slides. If anyone has any further questions, if you pop them over to me, and I can pass them either over to Angela or our technical consultant, Carl, who'd be more than happy to talk through any other questions you guys have. So yeah, once again, thank you, Angela. Thank you everyone else for attending, and I'll be in touch soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.